Hello, friends. Welcome to the podcast. I am so happy to be here. It has been a hot minute, and I am back. I am focused, and we'll be bringing you guys regular podcasts again, hopefully once a week. I want to talk today about taking a leap. Taking the leap. And I'm just going to kind of talk about what's been going on in my life in the last 6 months or so, because I think it's actually been 6 months since I recorded a new podcast episode, which is insane to think about. But moving really takes it out of you. And you heard in my last episode that was something I recorded back in August, and went through my breakup in July, and moved in October, and just kind of been getting back into the swing of things with work for the last few weeks. I was helping a friend clear out an estate, and we just finished that last week, so I literally feel like I've just been moving for months. And if you have done a move recently, you know how much work it is, especially when you're single. I definitely had lots of help from like family and friends, but it definitely makes a difference when you have people that live in your house that are helping you. So anyways, needless to say, I feel like a completely different person than I was the last time I recorded. And I have so much to say, so much to share. And so I'm just so excited to be back here, because I feel that sometimes on social media, it's hard to really share everything. It's like you're sharing snippets, and everybody's attention span is just so short on there. So yeah, I didn't really come in with too much of a plan other than talking about taking the leap. And it's just like, we're going to talk about taking all the leaps. Like, we're going to talk about all the leaps I took and what it took for me to be able to get there. Starting with, the leap that I took when I quit plumbing. And that leap, I really waited until my body was screaming to me that I could not possibly go on any longer. Like, that was my dark night of the soul, which I can't remember if I've really talked about on here or not, but I would not recommend letting it get to that place. But I know that for a lot of us, we are at that place, or you are at that place, or you have been at that place. And it fucking sucks. There's no sugarcoating it. When you feel like you don't have the money, the support to move forward and to make a big life change, I'm lucky that I did have a partner at the time that was supporting me making this life change. I know a lot of people don't have that, and I'm truly grateful for that, even though the relationship didn't work out. I know that we both helped each other a lot on our journeys. But yeah, it really took getting to my wits' end and just being so fed up and knowing that I needed to make a change. But mental preparation that goes into it and the emotional preparation that goes into it is huge, right? Like, I would never have taken the leap to quit my career if I hadn't gotten like laser focused on my life. Like, I quit drinking and partying, and I was making choices for myself, making plans for my future, following my heart, and doing the things that I felt called to do. Like, before I quit plumbing, I had my somatic training planned, and I had quit drinking, I think a year prior to that, give or take. And so I just want to talk about like the importance of like preparing for the leap. Like, we don't just take the leap out of nowhere, right? Like, I think oftentimes we give ourselves a hard time because we're like, I should be ready. Like, I've known that I need to make this change for so long. Why can't I do it? But there really truly is like a lot of prep that goes into being prepared to take a leap. It's not like we just wake up one day and we're like, okay, we're doing it. Like, I mean, yeah, like without any preparation. Of course, sometimes that does happen where you're like, okay, today's the day, we're doing it. So yeah, I would say like if it wasn't for me quitting drinking and really like deciding that I was going to figure out what I wanted to do with my life, like the year before I had taken a few months off, and I actually started school for psychology, decided that that's what I wanted to do. And after like taking a class, I decided that that wasn't quite it, but it's like these things are all stepping stones, right? It's like trying on a new pair of shoes and you're like, no, don't love them, but like we're getting close. And so really following like what you feel called to do is so important, even if it doesn't end up being what you expected. It's all a part of the journey. And I don't think that like any education or any like life experience is a waste. And if you guys can hear my voice, like, no, I'm not so different that my voice is different. I mean, maybe it is, but you'll have to wait probably for the next episode to really find that out, because I am actually coming down with something right now, and I didn't think I was going to be able to record today, but I actually feel okay. Fingers crossed that it doesn't get any worse. Been taking all my little home remedies. So yeah, anyways, back to it. But yeah, and so all of these things have led up to like the changes that I made this summer, like breaking up with this partner that was not serving me, and leaving my house behind, selling my house and going back to renting, which is like by society standards, like moving backwards. And it was really difficult for like so many reasons with like the breakup and the selling of the house, because I'm in my mid 30s, and there's just, I think, a lot of grief with realizing that your life is not the way that you thought it would be. Like you maybe, I thought that I would have like a big family and I would be married by now, and those things aren't necessarily like what I actually want or what I actually desired. I have a daughter and I love her. But, after having her, I was like, I actually don't want a big family. But there's still these ideas in our mind that we have held on to for like our whole entire lives. And so there is a process of grief that has to happen in order to move on to like this next reality, whether or not like those desires were yours or not. It was something that you were holding on to. And so, that was really difficult. Again, like the prep that went into being able to break up with my partner, because that is a scary thing when you're living with somebody. And I was like partially relying on him for money. Like I was working for his business, and so a large portion of the money I was making was coming from him. So that was a huge security for me. So letting that go was not only emotionally difficult, but it was like a level of safety, financial safety for me. And because I knew that since I had bought my house, I would really struggle to be able to afford it by myself, and I put myself into a lot of debt having the house. And I just felt like everything crumbled to the ground, like literally everything. And I felt so abandoned by God after the breakup, and I felt so just like alone. It felt like I was like going through a detox. Like it was so hard. And if somebody would have asked me in that first month after the breakup, to sell my house, I would have said like, fuck no. That was my last thread. It took about a month. And then once the dust had settled and I had like, figured out how to just be okay again, because that like first bit after a breakup, like, sheesh, it's hard. And I feel that there was so many karmic contracts with this person that I was with. And it was such a strong bond, and like there was lots of codependency on both sides for us. And so breaking that was, it was like literally detoxing. Not to say that he was like poisonous or anything. Like, he did care for me a lot and I cared for him a lot, but I think that we both played a huge part in each other's journeys of like, leveling up and growing and showing each other love in ways that we'd never experienced before. But there was a point where it was time to let go, and I think we both clung to that for a very long time after, it should have been time to walk away. I always think that everything does happen in the time that it's supposed to. Even though he did care about me and love me a lot, there was very many reasons why he wasn't able to love me in the ways that I needed to be loved. And I do truly believe that, this happened so that I could truly choose myself once and for all in my life. Yeah, so that relationship helped me grow so much. Still is helping me grow, like the healing that I'm doing from it. And there's moments where I'm like, yeah, we could have done without that. But like I said, I truly do believe that everything does happen for a reason. It's all part of our journey, our karma that our soul chose before we came to this earth. I had a realization about a month after the breakup that like it was time to let go of the house. Like, there was a lot of really tough times in that house, and so there was a lot of mixed feelings there. It felt like, there was so much pride in being that I bought that house by myself when I was like 27 years old. And, as a single woman to do that in your 20s is like, it's not very common, at least in my circle. And I was so proud of that. And I loved that house. Like, it was my first place that I truly felt like I was settled, I think, since I was a kid. And, it had my heart, but it also had a lot of really hard times there. And I felt that I needed to leave to be able to truly like move past all of the pain that I had been through in the last, 7 years of my life, even before my partner and I had met. Yeah, I remember I was like on Marketplace, and I think I saw like a trailer, and my sister lives in a camper with her family to save money, and I always was like so envious of that. I was like, oh, that's so cool. To just like, say fuck you to the Matrix and live in a camper and be able to like move if you wanted to, like, so easily. And so I thought about doing that for a hot minute, and I think that was just God's way of guiding me out of my home, because I am self-employed, and at the time I wasn't even really working. I was like, how am I going to be able to get a rental without like proof of income, all this stuff, blah blah blah. And so I was like, what, I'll just buy a camper, and then like no big deal, whatever, live on a year-round campground. And then I kind of started to realize that there was like these private landlord situations where they don't care about proof of income. They just like want to have references or whatever. And so yeah, I kind of went down quite a bit of a goose chase actually to find this place that I was going to live. And that was really hard because I was kind of in a rush to get my house on the market because of the seasons changing. Was trying to get it on the market for September. And the market actually softened up by the time I had gotten it on the market. So I am happy that I got it done at the time that I did. But there was a few weeks where like my house was on the market and I was having viewings, and I didn't know where I was going to live. So I was like, I don't like this feeling. Like I deeply knew that everything was going to work out. But when you've just been through something like a breakup, your nervous system is just like fried, especially when you're like putting your house on the market, like doing all the things, like I cleared out years of clutter from my house. And I think that like when we clear clutter from our homes too, it causes such huge energetic shifts. So I was really like, I was going through it. I was freaking out. I would go back and forth between being like, okay, like we're being taken care of. Like, I'm terrible with being linear in my storytelling, because there was really a point like after the breakup where I was like, okay, like I have two options right now, like figure this out financially, like for myself, and like shift my energy, or like sell my house. And at that moment it wasn't an option. And so I really like, it took me like 3 days to shift my energy, which I feel like I actually did talk about on here. It's been such a such a long time since I recorded that I'm like, I can't even remember the last time that I recorded on my own. But anyways, I did shift my energy into like trust, into that like flow again. And then I started feeling like this support coming in. Like I felt like my spirit guides was there. I felt like God was there walking with me. So I was kind of like going back and forth between like being at peace and being in trust, and then like panicking. And as somebody who's like tends to, be on the more anxious side, those of us with anxiety really cling to safety. And so when we have this unknown standing before us, it's extremely uncomfortable. So I'm just going to adjust my mic here a little bit so I don't have to slouch. Okay. Not that you guys needed to know, but you do. So yeah, that was extremely uncomfortable for me. Although I had really had a feeling that once my house sold, that I would be finding a place like really quickly. And just that happened. My house, like the offer went through, and then 2 days later I found my place that I live at now. And I just have to say that like it is crazy how many connections I have made through putting myself out there on like a Facebook group. So if you are like looking for really anything in your life, take the leap to, this is just like themes, taking the leap. Take the leap to put yourself out there on a Facebook group, and you will be amazed at like what comes through. Like I found my best friend on a Facebook group, like just posting in a paddleboard group. I found other friends through that as well, like good friends. And I found so many friends actually, now that I think about it, through posting in Facebook groups for like whatever reason, where someone will contact me and they'll be like, oh, I saw your post and like, I just feel like such a connection with you. Like we have to meet. I've had that happen so many times. And that was how I found my place. I posted like, a little bit of my story, picture of me and my dog or whatever. And I just was like, yeah, I'm looking for a place, blah, blah, blah. And someone commented on it and she was like, oh, I saw somebody make a post in another group. And yeah, I ended up finding this like really awesome spot that was like totally affordable and like out in the country. And it's just like, it's so funny because I think we limit ourselves so much. We limit ourselves thinking like, well, how am I going to find a rental? I don't have a proof of income. Like, how am I going to find a house that's actually affordable by myself? And I was just like, no, I'm going to find it. I know I am. And, I'm not going to listen to everybody saying, like, oh, you can't find, like, you'll be paying like over $2,000 a month to live in a house by yourself. And I'm like, no, I'm not subscribing to that. And lo and behold, I found an affordable home in the country. I have woods behind my house. Like I share a farm with like my landlord and her family. And like I have my own like complete corner of the lot. So it's like I'm not isolated. I'm not alone. It's like I know that there's people close to me, which is really nice. It's just like a dream out here. Like I feel so happy. My house is like really small and there's no stairs, which I love. I literally, like, I couldn't be happier here. I feel so at peace. I feel so supported. It's so cute and cozy, and like It takes me like 3 hours to like clean the house like top to bottom. It's so easy to like keep it tidy, keep it clean. And my daughter loves it here. She like loves it. Her room is smaller and it's like cozy, and we set it up just how she loves it. When I sold my house, I was able to pay off all of my debt, and like I'm just so set. Like I'm at the threshold of just like I get to do whatever I want right now. Like whatever I want. And my business is like starting to thrive, and like I'm thriving, and it's just so crazy like what happens to your business when there's no pressure of time, there's no pressure of money. It's so beautiful. Like I'm watching myself blossom and like open up. When you live like under the restriction of like I'm like struggling to survive and like you're living in survival mode, I like you feel so restricted, like you don't have the capacity to like dream for yourself. Like I'm starting to like think about all the things that I want to do, and I'm like getting so excited. I've been getting so excited about life like the last little while. I'm like, ooh, I can do this, and like, ooh, maybe I'll challenge myself to do this, and like, ooh, maybe I'll take singing lessons again. I used to love singing, and I'm so passionate about it, and I enjoy it so much. So why wouldn't I? Yeah, I'm just like, I literally have been sitting this week in just absolute gratitude and just really trying to be intentional about taking moments to really like sit, like hand on my heart, and just be in this like blissful feeling of gratitude. And I might still not like, my life isn't perfect. Like, of course, like the goalpost always changes, right? And that's okay. It's okay, like to always have like the financial goalpost is always going to change. It's okay for that. It's okay to always want more for yourself and want better for yourself. But at the same time, like we have to be careful to not get caught up in like the rat race of like just not actually taking the time to enjoy the journey. And, you know, even before all of these changes have happened, like the last 2 years since I quit plumbing, I have been truly enjoying the journey. Like, yes, there have been some really, really, really hard times, and those were not fun. But the times that weren't hard, like, my heart was in the right place, and I knew I was on the path to go to where I wanted to go. Sometimes we have to shift our energy. Well, not sometimes, we always have to shift our energy in order to, like, make the changes in our life, right? Like, I truly believe that, like, I don't think that I'd be where I am right now if I hadn't taken that time to shift my energy, like after the breakup, and get myself into a place of like flow, and like start cleaning out my boundaries, and like being truthful with myself about like what I needed to focus on and what I needed to do in order to like be successful and to be able to support myself and be supported. And since then, I've attracted so much support in my life, support with my family that I don't feel that I ever experienced before. And it's like, I don't think that they necessarily changed. I think it was me that changed and like just became more open to it. And then like making new friends, like friends that you just feel like so seen and heard and like aligned with. I'm still growing my community. I'm still building like that family for myself. But I feel so deeply fulfilled right now. And so something that I've really become more intentional about and more mindful about is the energetic preparation that it takes to prepare for like the next level of expansion. You know, even though I had been doing it, I hadn't been doing it with so much like intention, I don't think, until like this year and more recently in the last like 6 months or so. But if you really break it down and you really think about it, about like the things that you want in your life, you have to like reverse engineer it. Like, for instance, if I want to be booked out in my business, then I have to make sure that that time that I have open for sessions is open, and then I'm not busy doing stuff like going to appointments. There was a point of time where I was like just so busy after I moved, and I was like, I have to stop being so busy. Like, this is not the life that I want for myself. Like, the life that I want for myself is spacious, and if I want to call in what I want to call in, I have to clear the space for that. So I've been very intentional about that. And, even when I sat down, like after I went through the breakup, it was like I sat down and was like, okay, like what boundaries do I need to set for myself in order to really get focused on like to achieve like what I want to achieve. Like I think that we think that we'll change once we arrive, but it's not that way. We have to make the change before it actually arrives to be able to connect with the frequency of what we want. Like if I want to feel spacious, then I have to create spaciousness for myself. And then my life will continue to be spacious. If I want to create more joy for myself, then I have to choose to do more things that make me feel joyful. Like it's really simple, but we don't think about it like that. We just think like, oh, I'll be happy like once I finally get to like where I think I want to be. And so we just stay stuck exactly where we are, waiting and waiting and waiting. And I did that for years. Oh my God, so many years thinking to myself like, oh, once I get to the point in my life where I'm like this, then I'll feel like this. I just tell you now that like I feel like I'm here, even though I'm not like, necessarily at like the destination that I want to be. I feel like I am. I feel like I am because I've created that for myself. Like I did the scary things. And the thing is like once you start to do shit that like scares you, like once you start to set the boundaries, once you start to make the changes, it starts to get easier. You're like, okay, yeah, I know that like this is going to be uncomfortable. Like I just experienced that. And I'm still okay. Like I'm alive. So, okay, like we're strong enough to do like what's next. I do really want to like put a lot of emphasis on how much support it actually takes to make big changes in our lives and to make those big changes. Because if we don't feel like we have the support, then we don't feel like we necessarily have the strength. And that's why people stay in situations that are toxic for so much longer than they need to. And then they guilt themselves, like we guilt ourselves. We're like, oh, I know better, I should leave. But like give yourself some grace, give yourself some compassion. Like if you don't have a support system like there for you and you're doing this alone and you did it alone, like I'm going to give you a round of applause. Like kudos to you, because that takes an insane amount of strength. It takes an insane amount of strength to, break karmic cycles and break generational shit with support. So I would say like if you are, building up to taking a big leap, like make sure that you are supported in all the ways. Like take time to build your community. Like get out of your comfort zone, start finding your people. Sometimes all it takes is knowing that there's one person in your corner to be able to have the strength to do it, to do what it is that you need to do. Make sure that you are financially supported. So if like you've been making like really good money or whatever, but you want to make a life change and you can't afford to, then figure that out. Like sell your house or move into somewhere that's more affordable, or like get roommates, like move back in with your parents. Like we we give ourselves such a hard time about like seemingly moving backwards, but like sometimes we have to take a step back in order to take that leap forward. And there's nothing wrong with that. Sometimes we have to let the ego die a little bit. And I've definitely had to do that quite a bit in the last 6 months. Hell, I've had to do that lots. I moved back in with my parents twice as an adult. And I don't care. I'm not ashamed of it. Sometimes that's life, you know? And then like time. Time is another huge factor in like, and such a huge excuse I think that we make. Everyone, all of us, we all make it when we want to change our lives. I don't have time. And that's like another form of scarcity mindset. I don't have time. You do have time. Create time. And like, of course, I'm sure there's like people who are working like 3 jobs and they have kids and stuff like that. Like, that is like, yes, like, you know, maybe like a little bit of a different story. But even with a situation like that, if you start to change your mindset and you start to change your energy and start to shift your beliefs, your entire life will change and you will create more time for yourself. Like, you will start making more money. You will start not having to work as much. Like, it all starts with your mindset and your energy and being able to shift your energy. Like, you can change your entire life without actually changing anything like physically. Of course, that stuff always happens afterwards. Like, the external will always end up reflecting the internal, but like, first the internal has to shift before the external will shift. And sometimes, of course, like, we can help the internal shift by shifting the external environment if that's like available for us, right? And to me, it always comes down to like boundaries. Like, every layer of healing that I do, I'm creating stronger boundaries for my time, my energy, you know, the way I eat, my sleep habits, like literally everything. I start to like audit my time. Like, how much time do you spend every day scrolling on your phone? And I know it's so hard, especially when we're like in a state of freeze. Like, I was in a state of functional freeze for, oh my God, probably like, I don't know, my entire plumbing career and then some, like probably like the last 14 or 15 years. I was probably in a state of functional freeze on and off for the most part. It's hard to come out of that, but it is possible. And we don't come out of it by like just continuing to do the same things that we've always done, right? Like, always like be gentle on yourself, like especially when you are in a freeze state, which I feel like is so much more common than people realize. Like, I feel that probably the majority of the population lives in a functional freeze state because I just feel that our collective is just so burnt out and so done and so exhausted, and like, life just can't go on the way that it has been, you know, like everybody working so hard trying to make ends meet. And I think that's why, like, you know, people like you and I are doing this work and we're doing this shifting and this healing, and we're saying like, we're not doing this anymore. Like, this life does not fucking work for us, and we are like paving our own path, and more people are doing that as a collective is shifting. Like, we're reaching this breaking point. But you know, we have to start to do the healing work to come out of this like functional freeze and start creating more safety for ourselves. Like, you have to create safety for yourself in order to come out of a functional freeze. And for me, what that meant was breaking up with my partner and selling my house. 2 very difficult things that have started to cause my nervous system to thaw. Like, that blossoming that I was talking about earlier is like, it's like that functional freeze starting to thaw, and you're like the life coming back into you. It's like your needs and your wants and your desires start to like come out. And you know, not only that, but it's like, the more you set these boundaries and the more you take these actions that are all an act of self-love. Like, this is always a self-love journey, like, for all of us. Like, when it comes to boundaries, when it comes to changing your life, it's like I'm creating a life for myself that I love because I love myself so much that I know I deserve to have the life that I want. But like I said, like, always comes back to like that preparation, right? Like, when you're coming out of a functional freeze, like, you just start with baby steps. You just start with doing little things, like creating a little routine for yourself in the morning. Like, just start small. Start with 5 minutes a day of doing something that's good for you. And like, it just starts to spread. Like, the more you shift, the more you focus on like doing stuff that's good for you, the more it's like just becomes easy to shift into safety. And then once we shift into safety, we can start to shift into stuff that like feels even better than safety, like joy and peace and like freedom and like all like bliss, like all of the really like amazing high vibration emotions. Like, if you are in a place where you're ready to take the leap, or you want to be ready to take the leap, I want you to like sit down and really ask yourself, like, what do I need to create space for? Like, what does the version of me who has all the things that I want, like, what does she do with her time? Like, what habits are non-negotiable for her every day? And like, don't do it all at once. Don't burn yourself out, because that's what happens when people like try, to do all the things, and then it's like you get burnt out and you're like, this is too much. And I've definitely done that so many times. I still have to be careful to not do that, because sometimes we get so excited and we're like, oh my God, I feel so good. And then all of a sudden you're like exhausted because your nervous system is like, this is too many new things at once. Like, slow down, slow down. So our nervous systems always our nervous systems always crave like safety, right? Like, safety within the capacity that you have created for yourself. So I always like to say too, like, if you could bottle up the feeling that you would have when you have everything that you desire in your life, what is that feeling? And it can change. And it usually does along the way as we kind of start to like experience a spectrum of emotions again after coming out of like that functional freeze. Like, for me, it started with safety. And then once I felt like I was there, it's like I wanted to feel more joy and like excitement in my life, and also peace. And so how can we practice feeling those feelings more? Because it really comes down to like a frequency match. Like, when you're, like I was saying before, like, once your internal environment shifts, then your external environment naturally will shift, because what is not in a frequency match will fall away. It's literally science. And it's the way that the universe works. The way that you've lived your life, up until now, has been probably lacking in those emotions that you are hoping to achieve once you have all the things that you want. So, like, for instance, for me, things that I really focused on feeling and practicing feeling were like joy. So I would start to do more things that bring me joy. Like, well, what would really make me happy? And like really asking myself that. And as I start to like build this list, I start to open up more, and then the list starts to grow. And then I start to get happier and happier and like more joyful and more joyful. And it just like, it grows and it grows and it grows. It's like, watering, like, which garden are you going to water? Are you going to water the garden of all the beliefs and the thoughts and the feelings that you have always felt? Or are you going to water ones that feel kind of like a little bit uncomfortable and unknown to you, but will bring you so much more happiness in your life? So I feel pretty complete. My throat feels like I haven't drank water in about 100 years. So I'm going to sign off, I think, for today, but I hope you enjoyed the episode, and I cannot wait to come back again. The next episode is going to be another episode that was pre-recorded from August. I had a couple in the arsenal to kind of put out there. But I will be sharing more regularly and maybe getting some more guests on here again. And I just feel so excited to be speaking and sharing again and finding a little bit more consistency and more structure in my work and my life as I set stronger boundaries and energetically prepare for the next level of expansion. All right, my lovelies. I hope you enjoyed the episode. If I already said that, I forgot. I hope you guys have an amazing day.